Good evening, everyone. Today is November 16th. Welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teachings. So before I start today's recap, just want to let you know tomorrow or maybe this weekend, do not know the exact time, I'm doing my swing trading webinar. You will see a lot of examples from my past 3-4 years winning swings, timestamp before and after, and I will go in depth on the strategies, systems, setups, the risk management that I have been using for successful swing trading. So this will be in my community, and this will be multi-part webinars. If you want to attend the webinar, watch the recording, join the community. The link should be up there or in description. Use the discount code, and yeah, come for learning. So this is very excited for this swing webinar as the market improves. So now looking back to today's trades. So today was okay. The morning was not really crazy fun. There was not much follow through on few of the setups. We had a couple of scratch losses, but midday, rest of the day did turn out to be a good day. Few trades were really worked out, like NVDA and IWM Short were really worked out. We will talk about PANW, how we try to short it, and then how we turn into a bullish bias on the PNW. We'll discuss Walmart, even though it faded, but it was never really gave a good setup because of the range. We'll talk about Baba Chop. I was short, then long, and then it faded again. So Baba kind of messed up this morning. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about CSCO chop scratch loss as well. So those two we'll discuss. Then we'll talk about our winning short on PLC. We'll discuss the Tesla guidance, the winning short or saving people from long on Tesla today. Big win on NVIDIA all day. IWM short. We'll talk about NVO Scratch there on the gap fill short as well. So have few things to discuss, and then we'll discuss SPY QQs and market analysis in the end. Stay tuned. So let's start with our first play for the day. So let's look at PANW. So for PANW, guys, I mean, for me, I want a range. I do not want this action, right? You see this action, like how it's on 1 hour candle. If you see how the 1 hour candle stayed between the morning range. So this is not the action that I really want, especially when I'm trading at open, right? I either wanted lows to break down so I can fade it, or either want the ups to break up so I can do the gap fill long, right? So that was the problem. So how did we start? We started as a bearish bias, and as long as under 244, 245. So I said that 244, 245, and if you see the whole day, it was under this level that I've talked in the pre-market. That was 9:21 a.m. So whole day it was under that pre-market level. Never really turned solid move. Every time it came there, it rejected. So if you were just using those levels to short it, yes, I mean, if I expand it, that was still a $4 move every time it pushed higher and pushed back from 243s back to 237s or 245s, and back again. But how do we trade this? It really gets hard. So I did start 240 short in the morning, but I said watch your entries, because you have to have a good entry. You really know the risk level is up there, so you have to watch your entries. So then it was it was making higher highs, higher lows, and that's when I said, leave it. So let's just leave the short. It's not going to work. It's trying to make lower highs. We know our risk clearly right here and right here. Those are our two clear risk levels. So we'll watch for the bounce on B minus bounce. B minus are not my favorite setups, but it's okay. So I was trying to bounce B minus bounce. I scratched the short. I took a tiny loss there, and we'll see what it does. And once it got over it showed me it wants to get over the bullish pivot after the 10 a.m. and that's when I said, you know, we should target 245. So to target 245, your risk essentially is end low of the day. And low of the day is your essential risk. And it tried to go, rejected, still it was over this low of the day. Ideally this candle you would stop out, because or you just wait for the dip to this level. But again they were making a higher lows. If you look at the 1 hour candle, and it was still the, you know, higher lows right here, so they were trying to push it. And then my target was 245 end of the day, and then it did hit 245. So it was really like, you know, nothing special there, and it's just a kind of break-even trade, even though the long setup worked, but it was not a perfect setup. It was not an A plus setup. It was not a B plus setup. It was just a B minus setup. So, you know, but we didn't lose crazy on it, right? So if you see the tight range, we managed it well, because you have to see where your risk entry is and where your reward is. So the funny part is there are a few plays like this today. I will discuss those later. But anyways, so this was PNW, you know, chop, and short loss, long if you have small size. It since I turned to the long at 948, it did push to 244s and then dipped and then back pushed again on a B minus bounce. So let's start with the Tesla, right? So what was the plan on Tesla today? So Tesla, it was under the bearish clouds in pre-market, so it was already bearish. So I had a 241 level from the pre-market, then 238 was the support, and then 236.73. And then when the market opened, Tesla tried to push over 240, and you know, same level 241 from the pre-market. So I was not interested in B minus, you know, but I wanted to see if it could turn B plus over 240. So that was my guidance. So B minus bounce 240 will confirm that if it's want to reverse or not. But then it failed 240. What does that mean? It failed 240. So if it breaks this lows, the level that I gave in pre-market, then it's going to fade. So you have a starter short versus this 240.41 risk level, and you add when this breaks, right? And win was on top of it, so I'll show you that in a minute. And then it was all about managing your short all day. So I did say no longs, good entry to short scalp to 235 was my first target. So 235 was my first target, right? And then it started to hold and B minus bounce again, right? So B minus are always setups which don't work, and today is the example where you see how the B minus are work, you know, they don't really work. And then it was still bearish. I said do not long, still bearish, do not long. It's trying to reclaim 512 crowds, but you know, it's still B minus, and look at what happened, rejection. And then it broke this 1 hour 34.50 first. You see there's a bear flag on 1 hour, you see that. So it broke that, and then it pushed to this level from few days ago. That's a 1 hour chart. And then this girl was like a C minus. It was so heavy, right? And by the end of the day, so I said on Tesla, so my thing was Tesla has a gap. If I show you the daily chart, so Tesla have a gap. That's where it's bouncing. So ideally from 235 to 231. If tomorrow it breaks this, it's going to fill back gap to 225s. Or if bounce and fades, it's going to fill that. So my point is, it's a B minus setup. All day the community was short on Tesla, and they were doing good money on Tesla, because I know some people like to long Tesla, but then the thing that I teach every day, that it's a low probability, B minus, C minus, and this, it was never confirming long over 240, right? This was again C minus, bearish trend. So every buyer who comes here to buy, he gets stopped out, and then, you know, more sellers sell, and then, you know, that's why you see the fast fail. So imagine the shorts, just this flush from 236 to 30, how many longs got destroyed there, and the puts went to 300% on this, just this all day bearish trend, beautiful bearish trend in Tesla. And you can see the guidance, and let me show you now, how Win was so when Win was talking about that short. So if I show you, let's look at this, right? So Win was versus 241. So great call by Win today on that fade from 241 to all the day to 230. So this was just beautiful. All right, so let's look at a winner today, the best short winner. So this is what I want to see when I'm trading short, rather than the things that hold up. And you will see that the shorts I lose less and the winners I make much more, because I don't cut right away. So see what Place was doing. So plan was bearish, bias on pops only, and look at it at open it popped to the previous resistance, then it popped to the previous resistance, reject, you can add a starter. Remember, always a starter first. Today was all about the trend moves, no amateur moves. If you don't know what that is, just watch my Trade the Open webinars, learn how I trade at open. So amateur move, a bounce, and then it gets resistance, add starter when it breaks 22. I said under 22, fading now. I really wanted to see 2174. That's where I started to cover some, and you just cover half and leave the rest of it. My ideal target was 20. You can see here, ideal target 20, and I was holding the last piece for the 20. And then what did we hit? 2019. So I was 19 cents short of my target, right? So you can see 19 cents short of my short target. So let's go to the next one.
SNES, TRVG, PNT.
So let's talk about NVIDIA. You will not see a lot of comments because a lot of that was on my voice, what I was talking about on NVIDIA. But let me show you, right? So you see this setup, and 482 was there. So let's look at the pre-market plan as well on NVIDIA. So the pre-market plan on NVIDIA was, do not long if 482 breaks. So 482 clearly a support pivot, right? So 482 was a support pivot that I gave in the pre-market. Then what was the setup that we saw during the day? Let's look at the 1 hour. So if I take 1 hour, I draw this trend line, so you will see the 1 hour reversal, right? So if you don't want to do a trend line, let's just do a channel. I can do a channel. So I can do this. So I can clearly do this, right? So you can do whatever you like. So the point was, we were drawing a channel, and that was trying to reverse there. You can draw these three if you like. So let's just say, for the sake of, and it doesn't have to be just beautiful, like sweet and beautiful, but this was what it was. And this was what I mentioned as well, right? If I just remove that, you will see this was what I was talking about, the setup. So that was my long idea versus 482. What did I say? Holding clouds, and there was a calls coming in. We have all these free scanners, right? And we saw a lot of 490 call buyers coming in, and those 490 call buyers really worked out, right? So the breakout was over 490, the stops are under 486, and I gave those stops 486, 492, 493 were my target, and by end of the day I met much more, and I'm swinging some, I'm rolling some 500C with the profit. So let's see, we get 500 tomorrow, right? So it will be beautiful, it will be nice if we get that. So interesting. But yes, you can see, and this was a big win, right? You can see how it's a repeatable, high conviction option flow chart pattern, everything lined up beautifully lined up, huh? All right, let's go to the next one. So if you see this setup, such a defined setup, right? Such a conviction, right? That's what I just I posted about earlier. If you see bullish flow, reversal pattern, cloud reversal, defined risk, so many pointers that checked in for this NVIDIA trade. Can't stress this enough. A plus, guys, amazing. All right, so what do I talk about Baba? I mean, I guess maybe I personally might mismanage. Some of the traders in the community really did good on Baba. Plan was simple, right? It was a big gap down, not to chase the short. 79 would give us, more dip. I mean, if you were short right at open, like on the 79 break, then you probably scalp a little bit, right? If you look here. So where did we open? We opened here, scalp 78.27 from 79.50. If you were on shares, it was still a decent scalp short, right? But we're looking for a trend trade. So I wouldn't call it a winner on anything. But anyways, so the bias was bearish. By the end of the day, if you just followed this my morning thing, and by end of the day you were doing really good. It went into a resistance into the EMA clouds at 80.50s, and then it faded back, after this rejection, then it faded back, and then after that from 80.40s to all the way to 78.30s low of the day. So I personally kind of chopped around with the starter. I shorted first, and then I covered my short because I thought we go higher, and then we got this candle, and things happen, right? And when this candle, and then I had to cut the long buys. So after that, if we get over 512, that was the confirmation, but we never got the confirmation. So as soon as this happens, again your bias changes, right? Even though the overall bias is bearish, but you think it's a B minus bounce, and you change it. That's why you don't have to follow others. You don't have to, sometimes you have to understand, does it make sense to you or not? And I'm very proud of a lot of traders who really, short. So plan was they shorted here and they added short here, averaged up, and they did good. So that was the right plan, right? So so I personally got chopped up, but that's fine. And because short, long, and when right, but you see me saying that when it was going back down, I said it's back in the bearish trend. I said at 10:43, I said that it's back in the bearish trend. It was back in the bearish trend right here. When you try to long, back in the bearish trend. And I said it should test the lows back again. And it did almost touch the lows, right? So Baba guidance was okay. For me personally, I was a chop. I didn't manage it well. But the point is, we learned from these setups, and there are people who did really good on Baba today as well. Let's move to the next one. So let's talk about another big winner. I'm proud of this because we keep eyes on everything. So Intel had a lot of upgrades today, and it was strong. And then it was breaking out of the 52-week high. It's a breakout setup, 52-week highs. That's why I said watch the pullbacks, right? It was new. And I said log some into 10:15 a.m. trend, and that's what it happened. It pulled back at 10:15 a.m. It pulled back, right? But I was keeping an eye. It never broke the 512 EMA clouds right here. Never gave up, and that's what I said. Holding 512 EMA clouds, and then the reversal, then the push, right? And the 42 loaders also went 400% today. I'm just swinging some loaders now. So the point is, you keep eyes on everything. The point is about idea, right? I'm not here to show you the buy sell alerts. What I'm trying to show you is that when things move in the market, you need to be on top of it. A lot of traders in the community today did good on Intel. You miss the open, you have a clear reversal here. You get long here, stops under here, you ride it back up. We'll see, 52-week breakout. Maybe we get some more tomorrow. So really proud of Intel today, guys. So let's talk about Walmart idea. So the Walmart idea was it was pretty good. I mean, the idea, if you look at my pre-market notes, bearish neutral 155 support and 158.69 another level, you know, risk level, and I just couldn't get a good entry because again, right, you see that first few candles were, you know, bouncing. So I personally couldn't get a good entry because I kept waiting for like a better, you know, better move. And that price action tight range, I didn't like, and I didn't like that the first three candles. Usually I want to push in the first 10 minutes and then flush. So it took some time, and it would happen. Sometime it would happen, right? So reason I was not interested because my risk was a little wider here. You know, I should have taken it. Now I hindsight, but so you see the bounce, amateur move, and then the trend move. So I did say that 155, 55, 50 is the level. 155 is the level. And then it faded down all day from 159 to 155, 50 level. So it happens sometime, right? You have a setup, it is working, but you don't get a good entry. So because it was making a B minus bounce at the open, and then again it bounced, right? So again it bounced. So it never gave me that confirmation. So I usually do good in a place which break it, bounce, and then I can fade them. So it held that range all day. So it held that lows all day. So if only if it could have been a really nice if you get a good entry. So you know, so what we call it is a, you know, a scratch idea. It was right thesis, but it was basically a scratch. So let's move to the next one. So Cisco was another one which was a choppy action, right? I just showed you a few examples, and this, look at this, right? What is Cisco doing? It's up and down in those that ranges, and it's not enough for me. You know, it's, you know, bouncing 50 cents, coming down 50. Now tomorrow we'll watch it. You know, it came back from 53. If it wants to reverse, we'll keep high versus this defined level because the buyers were there. So the buyers were there, so we will keep an eye on that, these levels. So the point was Cisco was a bearish bias to short it and scalp short it, and on the bounces and lower highs, and it was a bearish all day, right? But then it start going sideways. It breaks down, pushes up, and then it reclaims that pre-market level, and then it's just, I mean, it's lower highs but just sideways, right? So I didn't like the price action right away. I didn't like the price action. So, you know, I had some short and just took a scratch off. So the point here is our thesis was right, but we never got a good risk reward. And I did mention this bounce in the end, which I missed, this curl. So this was a nice curl in the end that I missed. Now tomorrow we'll watch. I would have longed it here B minus because they held this all day. And then tomorrow if we get over 48, then we'll risk somewhere here and to long it. So yeah, Cisco chop and guidance there, guys. So you see there were a few scratch losses and chops today, but we had big winners on Tesla, PLC, NVDA was huge, Intel was huge. So you always get those. Let's look at some other small ideas. So NVO was one of those ideas which was, let's say, you know, so it was trying to break down, it went up, but then I said it's holding, it's, you know, it was gap fill short, but then it's back to the resistance 1935. So 1935 is your final resistance. Either you add versus that as a B minus short, and when it comes back you just get out, you know, whatever break even, you just get out. So because you don't give it another chance to bounce on you, because this time 1935 did not hold, right? So yeah, so this was the idea on the NVO. So let's go to the next one. So IWM basically was a short call on the, you know, we can just again look at our pre-market plannings. So what was our pre-market planning on IWM? Our level was clear, 178.30, and it rejected 200 SMA yesterday. So I right at open, it broke under all my support levels that I mentioned, all my support levels. It was breaking 178.30, it was breaking down 177.55. So you see, I mentioned this level 177.55 right here. You can see this. So, and that's what I always said, that you short it, right? You can short this, you can short the ETFs, whatever you want. But this was, again, every day has been a great play. IWM was a great long for us the other day. Yesterday also was a great long, and then today it was a short. So IWM Short Win, really good idea in the community. So there was few ideas on Target and Costco. Both of them I was bearish. I but didn't end up doing anything on either. You know, Target bounced over the EMA clouds, I left it. Costco faded all day, and you know, it could have been short, but again, you know, if you had a good entry, then you could have done good. But the point is, you'd stay on the top of what is happening in the market. So when the first candle gets over the EMA clouds and hold, you don't short it. You just don't, you know, because you see hard lows, so no risk reward. So that's why you don't see any more comments from me, because I didn't see a setup, although I was talking about on the voice. Neither did I touch Costco, although it faded all day from the pre-market plan. All right, let's look at SPY and QQQ. Today, SPY and QQQ was mostly handled by Jai today, so there was nothing really much, but few things I want to talk about is, what is this? Do you know? 10 a.m. rejection again. 10 a.m. rejection. So it was a range bound action, then 10 a.m. rejection, then it broke the pre-market lows. You can see this was the tight range. You're right, I've been talking about it. But they broke down, but they kind of swiped it back. It was good for the scalp, right? Maybe you scalp for, you know, SPX. If I put it SPX here, you know, you could it was good for the morning scalp from this level to this from here. So you could have good scalps from 4500 down to 4490, right? 10 points on SPX, good enough. So you could have done those scalps based upon this chart, and we are pretty good. You know, I'm pretty confident about our SPY and QQQ trading. I think we do it the best ever anywhere, because everyone in the community knows the rules, the setups, the personalities, and then we keep eyes on the flow. Jay is on the flow, and we just watch it. So at high level, guys, market, let's look at SPY chart. It's still bullish. There's nothing bearish about market right now, just taking us a smooth time. QQQ is almost close to a breakout. So, you know, everything is neat and tidy for bullish move, unless we go down to this gap below, which I doubt, but we'll be ready if we ever get to that gap, right? So you see there's a big gap on QQQ, there's a big gap on SPY. So SPY gap is way lower because SPY has been a little stronger than QQQ for last few days. And Apple and Microsoft have been really pushing the market, guys. So that has been the reason the market has been so strong. So the day Apple is weak, the market will pull back, and you know, we just have to watch those levels, low of the days, 2 days, and same for Microsoft. So Microsoft is breaking out. So as I forgot to recap, it was good long in the community. You know, I tweeted about it. It's A plus breakout setup, guys. I won't be surprised if you see 380 there. So and AMD was strong as well today from the chart pattern there. Google, our swing keeps going. My next target is around 139 or 141, so all-time highs. We'll see. Apple will decide how the market does, because if I look at US dollar is pretty weak, is bear flagging here, and unless this yields get back over 450, we should be fine. So that's why we just keep our price alerts on there, right? Yields and all that. If yields are spiking, we short this IWM more. IWM might not be done fading if yields bounce. So we stay ready for either thing, but ideally I want to see IWM strong for our swing environment. Our swing environment works much better when IWM is strong and the yields are weaker. So so that's about it, guys. Market analysis. You know, we should be ready to go for tomorrow. Hopefully better news plays tomorrow. I was a bit disappointed with some morning setups, but at the end of the day, we work hard every day trying to find trades and ideas and education. Feel free to join the community or follow me on Twitter or my free website or YouTube. I will see you guys tomorrow.